said, Daisy. All spoons and forks what are in general use get grease on them and have to be washed in soapy water.
Just off now, Rose. Crown and anchor. Tell Mr. Hudson, will you?
Tell him yourself. And the silver has to be wiped with a soapy flannel and then rinsed in fresh water.
Rose teaching all her tricks, is she, Daisy?
Oh, get off, will you, Edward, and leave us alone, and don't drink too much ale.
Oh, she's like a mother to me. All right, I'll go. Bye. Bye.
He's very funny, Edward. And once a week it has to be thoroughly cleaned with this special plate powder.
Grace says to me, Humphrey says about Lord John's dislike of port wine. So I says, well, we'll have to try him out on a light wood.
Oh, sorry, Mr.
Try him out on a light wood port and then get him onto the vintage and he's ready for it.
Hi, Robert. Sorry.
Ah, thought you was never coming. There you go.
Hi, John. Oh. Oh, I needed that. Oh. Right, what's been going on in your place today? Did he, Charlotte, did? Really? How many?
4.
Yes, she's made friends with a footman at Lady Vereker's in Chester Street.
Well, young lads need their moments of relaxation, Rose. But he shouldn't be out drinking ale too late, or he'll be good for nothing in the morning.
Mrs. Bridges ought to be back quite soon, now that her sister's getting over her operation.
Oh, I hope so, Rose. I do hope so. Oh, thank you, Daisy. Did you make this yourself?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Ah, that looks very good. Maybe a wee bit more cocoa powder the next time, eh?
And a bit more sugar, and don't forget Mrs. Bridges likes 4 teaspoons heaped.
But you're doing fine, McGill. Oh, just fine.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
And then Mr. Verney, who works for Lord Avery, was having an argument with old Lady Ringwell Butler about salmon fishing.
Tell John what happened up at something. Go on, it's a laugh.
I should, really.
Come on, we won't tell nobody.
Well, you see, I was
He was up there valeting for Captain Bellamy, wasn't he?
Yes. And there was this French girl there, Cecile, Lady Newby's maid. Well, I got to know her, and she said if I came up by her lady's bedroom at midnight, she'd leave me a sign.
A pair of her lady's shoes, pointing towards the female servants' quarters.
How'd you know that?
We all know that French maid, a Lady Newbury. There's plenty of footmen round the country houses been in trouble because of her.
You should know. Go on, Edward.
Well, I never got to Cecile's room. Well, not that night, anyway.
You funked it, eh?
No, I didn't. No, as I got to the top of the stairs, someone came out of one of the bedrooms.
Whose bedroom?
Mrs. Tewkesbury's bedroom.
What, a man, was it?
What do you think?
Not her husband.
No, it was one of the gentlemen from the house party.
Come on, who?
Lord Charles Gilmore.
Brother of the Duke of Bolton.
That's right, that's him. And he hops into his room, which is conveniently situated across the corridors from hers.
Hey, did his lordship slip you anything the next day? To keep quiet about it?
No, I don't think he saw me. But I saw them together the next day in the orangery. Right, I'll get another one, then I must get back.
Right, don't matter what time I get back, our butler's drunk by 10.
Oh, excuse me. 3 pints, please, George.
Evening.
Evening.
Not seen you in here before, have I?
Well, I come in here quite often.
Heard you mention Summerby. Nice place. Marcus and Newbury's.
Yeah, that's right.
Been there myself in the old days.
Come on, in service, were you?
That's right. You Captain Bellamy's valet, did I hear you say?
Oh, well, yeah, footman, really. But I was up there valeting for the captain before Christmas. He was up there hunting.
Oh, yes.
I worked for the Bellamy's round the corner at Eaton Place.
Bit of luck you bumping into that gentleman. Coming out of Mrs. Tewkesbury's room, seeing what you did.
Well, why?
Next day in the orangery. Holding hands, were they?
Lord Charles and Mrs. Tewkesbury's holding hands?
kissing bold as brass. One other thing. Tell me, how was Lord Charles dressed when he came out of the bedroom?
In his dressing gown, why?
What colour?
Scarlet with gold braid, a posh one.
You better be sure of what you saw, my lad.
Why?
Quite likely to find yourself called up as a witness in a divorce case, that's why.
Who are you then?
That doesn't matter. Look, take this. Keep your mouth shut. And if you should happen to be called up in court, you tell the judge what you just told your friends and me. All of it.
Harry, are you somebody's valet?
Sort of. Good night.
But we've no case, Colonel Tewkesbury. Not yet. Your wife has denied, through her solicitors, all allegations of adultery, and the fact that Lord Charles bought a place near you and happened to stay in the same house party as your wife at Somerby does not constitute grounds for divorce.
You're having the fellow watched, are you not, as I suggested?
Oh, yes, but it may not bear much fruit.
I tell you, young Charles Gilmore is after my wife and after my constituency. Thinks I'm going to retire early and make way for him. Ambitious young whippersnapper. Well, I can't stay any longer.
With respect, Colonel, I feel I must ask you, is your quarrel with Lord Charles matrimonial or political? After all, as you yourself will admit, your wife, as everyone in London society knows, has had indiscreet relationships with men before now.
No,
You've
no.
told me so yourself. Now, why do you pounce on this particularly able and promising young politician? A duke's brother with brains, and that's rare enough. Why now? Why Gilmore?
I know what you're thinking, Dillon. You think I'm jealous of him and frightened of losing my seat in Parliament to him, isn't that so? But I'm entitled to my suspicions. He bought a house near me in my constituency.
To be near Mrs. Tewkesbury or to make himself known to the electors of Wolverton North?
Well, obviously, both, Dillon. Do I have to go on repeating myself?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Sir Geoffrey. Mr. Clough is here. He says it's important.
Ah, send him in. Now, this may be what you're hoping for. It's my inquiry agent. Do sit down, Colonel. Yes, Clough, what is it?
Had a bit of luck in the Crown and Anchor in Chester Mews, sir. Followed up a little notion of mine. Here's my report, sir.
Yes, well, let's have a look.
How dare you, Geoffrey, you of all people? A trusted, respectable solicitor putting spies on my servants in public houses?
Don't over-dramatize matters, Richard. An inquiry agent employed by me on behalf of my client, Colonel Tewkesbury, merely established your footman as the probable key witness in a divorce action. As such, the man is bound by law to appear in court and to give evidence, whether he be your servant or King George himself.
And you're ready to stand by and see Charles Gilmore, just the kind of dynamic man the Tory party needs today, destroyed politically by a harmless flirtation with somebody else's wife at a weekend house party?
I am a solicitor, Richard. Colonel Tewkesbury is my client. Divorce is part of my business. I also happen to think that the truth is more important than promising careers. Now, if there's nothing else you wish to discuss, perhaps you'll excuse me. I have work to do.
Excuse me, sir. Lady Prudence is here. She wondered if she could possibly see you.
Ah, Geoffrey.
Lady Prudence.
Good, my dear. How are you?
Well, thank you. How are the children?
James and Hazel are in Italy. They're doing the galleries. Well, I expect you would like some tea.
Oh, thank you. I hear Hazel didn't enjoy her weekend at Somerby very much.
No, a bit out of her depth in Diana Newbury's world, I'm afraid.
Who wouldn't be? The things that go on in that house. And that's precisely why I've called, Richard. Apropos of one of the things that went on, alas, at Somerby that same weekend.
Oh, what might that be?
Harry Tewkesbury is divorcing Natalie, citing your protégé, Charles Gilmore.
Yes, I did know.
Oh. Well, I have Natalie staying with me now. Harry's kicked her out and she can't stop crying. All over my furniture.
Is she in love with Charles, do you think?
Oh, not in love. Just enjoys sleeping with him. Really, Harry's suddenly behaving like a madman. Raging at her, calling her a faithless wanton, as though she'd never looked at another man before.
What am I expected to do?
Well, take some steps to protect Charles Gilmore's name. If he's cited...
His political career will be in ruins. Do you think I don't know that?
Well, then stop the case.
How can I?
Well, talk to Geoffrey Dillon. I gather he acts for Harry as well as you. And he's a good Tory. He won't want to see Charlie Gilmore broken on the wheel.
As I tried just now, but Geoffrey won't budge. He can't professionally.
Then stop Edward giving evidence.
Edward?
Well, your footman. I gather he's to be the principal witness.
How the devil did you know that?
Well, Natalie's maid. She knows everything. Ah, tea. How lovely.
Ah, you should have seen it, Daisy. There were ornamental fountains spurting up jets of water and peacocks. Honest, I'm not kidding. Peacocks strutting about the lawns.
Rather like you, I should imagine.
And the other people you meet, and the other valets.
And maids, too, I suppose.
Yes, right, well, yeah, them too, but, do you know, it's interesting how other households are much more interesting than yours. Have you noticed that, Rose?
Quite enough interest in this house.
Oh, yes, there is.
Yes, well, hurry up. Work isn't finished yet, you know.
Edward, the master wants to see you in the morning room. Look sharp now.
Don't go, Hudson. I want you to hear what I have to say to Edward.
Sir.
I'm going to ask you certain questions about your visit with Captain James to Somerby.
Oh, yes, sir.
Now then, Edward, it has come to my ears that as a result of your boasting about your employment in front of other servants in a public house, you are to be called as a witness in a divorce case.
Am I, sir?
Some story about Lord Charles Gilmore and Mrs. Tewkesbury. Something you claim you saw one night at Somerby. Perhaps you'd care to repeat that story to me now.
Do as you're told, boy.
Well, I just said I'd seen Lord Charles and Mrs. Tewkesbury together, sir.
Where? In what circumstances?
Just coming out of the orangery, sir.
Tell the truth, Edward.
It is the truth, Mr. Hudson.
Yes, all right, Hudson. That can't be all, Edward. What else?
I didn't mean no harm, sir. Really,
What
I didn't.
else?
I said I'd seen Lord Charles coming out of Mrs. Tewkesbury's bedroom, sir.
Don't mumble, boy.
Out of Mrs. Tewkesbury's bedroom, sir.
At what time?
About 2 o'clock in the morning, sir. I was taking some medicine up for Captain James.
Medicine. How did you know it was Mrs. Tewkesbury's bedroom?
Her maid, sir. She pointed it out to me the day before while passing, and Lord Charles's bedroom being opposite, she giggled over that, sir.
There was talk about that, was there, in the servants' quarter?
Oh, yes, sir. Everybody knew that.
But only you had the evidence of your own eyes.
Well, I'm not sure I'm the only one, sir.
You're quite certain it was Lord Charles Gilmore you saw coming out of that lady's bedroom?
Oh, no doubt at all, sir. As I told the gentleman in the pub, I knew it was him by his dressing gown.
Dressing gown?
Scarlet with gold braid. His valet showed it to me the evening before while laying out his lordship's clothes for dinner.
You're certain of that, Edward? You'll be under oath in court to tell the truth, as I trust you've told it to me just now.
Well, I couldn't be absolutely certain, sir. You see, there wasn't a lot of light.
And the dressing gown?
I couldn't be positive about that.
All right, Edward. You may go now. Thank you, Hudson.
Sir. Tact, my boy. Tact and loyalty are the first requirements of the good servant, and you have most shamefully neglected them. You have been found wanting, Edward. Quite frankly, I have the gravest misgivings about your future here.
Oh, no, Mr. Hudson. Well, I may have been a bit tactless, but I haven't been disloyal. I'd never say anything about Captain James or anybody in this house.
But you have brought discredit in this house on all of us. Can't you just hear the sniggerings in other households about us when this divorce case gets into the newspapers? The acute embarrassment to be endured by the master on account of your foolish prattling.
All right, Mr. Hudson, don't go on. I've learnt my lesson.
It's too late, Edward.
I'll do anything, Mr. Hudson. I'll bite my tongue off.
There is nothing you can do. The damage is done. We'll just have to wait and see what comes of it. Now get out!
Morning, Lord Charles Gilmore. Yes, Lord. Mr. Bellamy is expecting me at 11 o'clock. You would be...
Edward, my lord.
Oh, yes, Edward. Allow me.
Sorry. Thanks.
Charles, my dear fellow.
Ah,
come in.
Richard.
All right.
You was carrying too much at one time, and it's thank you, my lord. And where was you?
I've got my hands full, Rose.
Do sit. Will you have a drink?
If you're having one.
Bit early for me, but don't let me stop you.
I'll take a Madeira, thank you. Very kind of you to see me.
Well, I thought it was a good idea, didn't you?
I was on the point of calling on you, and I didn't see why you should be involved in my scrape.
Well, I'm afraid I am involved, indirectly.
Thank you.
Perhaps I will join you. What's the latest on the matter?
The latest is that Harry Tewkesbury is going ahead with the divorce, naming me.
Yes, I did know.
All he can possibly gain is my ruin, both socially and politically. And it's already based on a misunderstanding. I mean, when I took that house outside Wolverton, I confess it was partly to be near Natalie. And I did have certain political motives as well.
I'd be careful about admitting that if I were you.
But it was all in good faith, you see. I thought Harry was retiring. He'd given Natalie that impression. My God, I wasn't trying to oust the fellow. Hadn't you heard about it at Westminster?
I must confess I hadn't heard he was retiring. People like Harry don't retire, do they? They go on to the bitter end.
You mean it was a devilish ruse on his part? He let it be known to Natalie so that I'd show my hand, then he pounced and closed the trap on me.
I think you're giving him credit for more brains than he possesses.
I don't know. These old foxes, they know all the tricks.
Well, then it's quite simple. You must set your sights elsewhere.
You mean politically?
There will be other seats vacant.
Yes, I suppose there will. What I really need, Richard, is your advice, may I?
Oh, yes, of course. Advice? Well, there's only one way of preventing a scandal. That may be too late. Give up seeing Natalie Tewkesbury. Could you give her up?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. She's very beautiful. Norm is fun to be with. She disconcerts me.
Yes, I understand that well. She is a disconcerting lady.
She never disconcerted you?
No, never.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. I'm not interested in her past.
It's a fairly discreet past, isn't it? She's one of those people about whom a lot is assumed, very little verified.
Yes, but one must be wary of visiting footmen passing in the night.
Yes, and blabbing their mouths off. I'm sorry.
It's the luck of the game. Will the fellow's story hold up in court, do you think?
Yes, it might. We must try and prevent it getting to that. Harry will have to see the error of his ways. I'll do my best for you.
Thank you, Richard. For once in my life, I feel rather at sea.
He's ever so handsome.
That is not everything, Daisy.
Nobody helps.
It's a man's character you should be looking for, Rose, the way he conducts himself in all matters.
Well, he conducted himself very nicely today with you, didn't he, Daisy?
Yeah.
Daisy dropped some pillowcases, Mr. Hudson, and Lord Charles picked them up for her.
And what were you doing?
Well, I wasn't fast enough.
Poor Mrs. Tewkesbury, I feel sorry for.
You feel sorry for her, Rose?
Yes, I do. Imagine being married to a peppery old colonel who goes blasting off with his gun every day.
Who told you that, Rose?
I got it from Mrs. Tewkesbury's maid. She tells me the colonel goes out shooting 5 days a week, except when Parliament's sitting. Well, I don't call that a marriage.
Oh, she can't always have thought badly of him, Rose. I'm sure he's got many excellent qualities. Anyway, you're far too often eager to judge people harshly without consideration.
But if she's unhappy, why can't she leave him and marry Lord Charles?
Yeah, good for you, Daisy. Why can't she?
Oh, no. Can't have a divorce. Can't have a scandal like that. They'll never let it get that far.
Well, what's so scandalous about divorce? Surely it's better than living in misery for the rest of your life.
That's the way things are done, Edward. It's appearances that matter, isn't it, Mr. Hudson?
Oh, they certainly do, Rose.
Why?
It would take far too long to explain now, Edward. Ruby, your custard's surprisingly good.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Why can't people be truthful for a change?
Yeah, why can't they?
I mean, if you were in love, Rose, or Daisy here, and you were married to some crusty old colonel, but you really loved this really handsome fella, couldn't live without...
It's different for us.
I know it is. It's worse. I mean, you wouldn't be able to have a liaison with him, would you? I mean, we're not allowed to, servants. We're always brought up having to regard moral virtues, and then we come back and work in houses where it all goes on.
Oh, that's good coming from you, Edward. What about that mademoiselle up at Summerby? Ooh la la.
What's that, Rose?
Oh, it's nothing, Mr. Hudson. I was only teasing him.
I'm confused, you see, Mr. Hudson, so I'm asking for guidance.
Yes, so am I, Rose.
Well, Edward has got a point, Mr. Hudson. I mean, what goes on sometimes? It's not what I learnt at my mother's knee.
If God had intended us to behave all in the same way, Rose, he would have made us all the same. Ruby, have you not even started your pudding yet?
Sorry, Mr. Hudson.
Colonel Tewkesbury, sir.
Tewkesbury, this is good of you. I do appreciate it. Do sit.
Well, thank you. I don't usually discuss my domestic affairs with acquaintances, Bellamy.
Yes. Will you take a drink?
No, thank you. But since we both are old colleagues of the Tory party...
Quite.
And when I received your note, I asked Geoffrey Dillon's advice, whether I should come and see you or not. And being our mutual solicitor, he could hardly advise against. So here I am.
Yes, quite. Well, as you know, my interest in your forthcoming divorce action is twofold. First of all, the footman in this house has got himself involved as an important witness, and I am bound to consider his interests as an employee of my son and myself.
Yes. I take it the man's capable of telling the truth in court.
I think you can depend on that, should the case come to court.
Well, there's no question of that, Bellamy. The writ's been issued.
The other matter, of course, hinges on our common membership of the Conservative Party. Whatever you may think of Gilmore as a man, his political promise will not have escaped you.
I know nothing of his political ability, beyond what I read in the society gossip columns. That he's the younger brother of a duke, good-looking, and popular with all the hostesses in Mayfair.
Oh, come now, Tewkesbury. He's got more to offer than that, and you know it. He's very highly regarded in the party.
You're asking me to drop my divorce case for the good of the party, is that it?
Frankly, yes. Now, if you're worried about the future of your parliamentary seat, I can assure you here and now that Gilmore is putting his house near Wolverton on the market at once.
Oh,
Any idea that he was after your constituency was a complete misunderstanding. That I do know.
He's my wife's lover, Bellamy, and he must pay the price.
The price of being found out, eh? Oh, for God's sake. Queen Victoria's dead.
Gilmore knows the rules. He gambled and lost. He's going to pay the price.
Tewkesbury, to hell with the rules.
I don't think you and I have anything more to say to each other, Bellamy.
No, I think not. I'll ring, have you shown out.
Oh, hello, Daisy. Come sit round the fire.
Got away from Rose at last. She's had me marking all the new linen. You know, I thought it was marvellous the way you stood up to Mr. Hudson at dinner time.
Well, I didn't really. I just want to understand things, that's all.
Me too.
Well, you got Rose to tell you. Do you think that stain notices?
What was it?
Gravy.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, but you aren't Lady Prudence, are you? And she's as blind as a bat anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Edward, man give me this to give you. Outside. Said his name was Joseph. Said you remember him from Summerby.
Summerby?
What is it?
Nothing. I've got to go out a minute.
Well, don't forget your coat. It's pouring out.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
As I was saying, it was the Duchess's lady's maid who got it from Captain Wheeler's groom. And I can tell you in strict confidence.
It is nice to see you again, Eddie.
Did you and Lord Charles get back from the house party all right? We had to leave early.
Yes, we didn't see enough of each other up at Summerby.
Oh, no, you were always working.
Yes. Do you remember when I showed you Lord Charles's things up in his room?
You mean his solid gold cufflinks and his expensive dressing gown from Rome?
That's right, Eddie. That's what I wanted to see you about.
Huh?
I want you to forget about that dressing gown, Eddie. You never saw it, did you?
But you showed them to me.
No, Eddie. Smell?
Oh, no, thanks. Oh. Hey, why do you want me to forget about his dressing gown?
Because I've got something here for you, Eddie. Don't open it now, not in public. I can tell you what's in it, though.
What?
Money, Eddie. Quite a bit of money. It's for numbing your dubber.
Numbing me dubber?
Don't wave it about. Stick it in your jacket. Go on.
Was there no letter with it?
No, just the £10. Lord Charles Valley gave it to me in the Crown and Anchor. But he sent me a note to meet him there.
And he handed this over in full view?
Oh, yes. Well, it was crowded, but I don't think anybody saw us. And anyway, I didn't open it there, Mr. Hudson. But that doesn't matter, does it? Since I'm not going to keep it, am I? I mean, I'm going to give it back, aren't I? And stand up in the witness box if I have to and tell the truth, what I saw. Well, it's my duty, whatever he says.
Wait, Edward, wait. Don't be too hasty.
Pardon?
Things may be a good deal more complicated than you imagine.
I don't see what's complicated about it, Mr. Hudson. I've been offered a bribe and I'm rejecting it.
You'll do as you're told, and you'll do nothing until after I've spoken to the master.
But Mr. Bellamy will make me give it back. He wants me to tell the truth. He said so.
There are times, Edward, when the truth, the literal truth, has to give way to higher things, like discretion and loyalty.
They're higher than the truth? I don't understand that, Mr. Hudson. Well, I mean, I couldn't keep that money. It'd be on my conscience for the rest of my life.
Nobody's asking you to put it in your pocket, my boy. But you might have to consider giving it away to some charity, to the lifeboat men or some such, if I instruct you to. Now, just you leave this with me and get yourself off to bed. I thought you should know about it at once, sir.
You're right, Hudson. Edward was right to tell you.
Oh, he's always been a very truthful and conscientious lad, sir.
Well, nobody's asking him to perjure himself or depart from the straight and narrow. Tell him to forget about this, and I shall be dealing with the matter myself.
Very good, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, Hudson. Thank you.
You're not going to embarrass me and hand it back, I hope.
No. Edward will be instructed to hand it to a charity. Have you any preference?
I'm sorry, Richard. It was done with the best of intentions to save you any embarrassment. I thought the boy would keep quiet, conveniently forget the colour of my dressing gown, and that would be the end of it. I couldn't know he'd trot off to your butler, who in turn would trot off to you. They're making servants uncommonly scrupulous these days.
Well, aren't you relieved? The alternative might have been blackmail, heaven forbid.
Sometimes easier to deal with.
Well, I wouldn't know. All I do know is that you've outraged his sense of honor. The colour of your dressing gown is engraved on his mind. So what happens?
We'll see. My solicitors have retained McCorkadale for my defense, if it comes to it. He'll tear your footman to shreds. I was really trying to spare the boy as much as anyone.
Yes, I've seen Tewkesbury. He can't be persuaded to give up the case at any price.
No, I didn't hold out too much hope. Do I detect from your use of the word price a slight note of censure?
No, not really. I see your dilemma. You've taken a pragmatic view of it. I might have been tempted to do the same.
But you would have resisted the temptation. There's the difference.
Only from the point of view of strategy. Not necessarily for any moral considerations.
I wonder. But what you've kindly recognized is that I'm arrogant enough to believe I have something positive to offer our sagging party. And I've no intention of allowing time servers like Tewkesbury to drum me out. There are a lot of them in the house now, pretending to be asleep, as is their wont, but watching the younger backbenchers carefully. No wonder we're in opposition. We don't deserve anything better. We have Ireland. We have welfare problems. We have rumblings in Europe, and they direct all their energies towards matters of no consequence.
Sorry, Charles. I have to cut you short. I have to go out.
Yes, of course.
How's she bearing up? More settled now that she's living with Prudence?
Natalie, you mean? Yes, I believe so. You know, to be quite truthful, I haven't had a moment to see her. I'll let myself out.
Come in.
Oh, there you are. Do you know where you got to?
Somebody want me?
No. What you doing?
I'm just reading a letter from my brother. You shouldn't be in here, you know, Daisy. Mr. Hudson doesn't approve.
Well, you come out then and sit by the fire. It's cold in here.
No, I don't feel like it tonight. I'm all right.
No, you're not. You're down in the dumps. Is it about that money still?
Oh, it's people, Daisy. They tell you one thing and you think that's all right and that's the way to behave and... Oh, I don't know. I'm seriously thinking of giving up this life.
What would you do?
Well, I thought I might join the army.
The army?
Yeah, my brother's a soldier, Middlesex Regiment. Well, he says it's a good life and plenty of fresh air and action and plenty of food and... Well, they want people to join.
Oh, don't do that. You'll get yourself killed.
No, it won't. They look after you these days and that's a good life.
It's a good life here.
No, it's changing.
No, you're getting older, that's all.
I'm not. How old are you?
18. May the 11th. You?
25. Nearly. January the 24th.
Ah, that's too old for the army.
You know, you do cheer me up, Daisy. We'll have to go out together sometime.
Do you mean it?
Of course I do.
When? Tomorrow?
Well, no, actually, I've got to go and visit my dad in Walthamstow tomorrow, but he's a real card, he is. You like him, he's a carpenter.
Is he?
I suppose I could put him off.
Oh, no, you mustn't do that.
Yeah, you won't mind. I'll take you to a picture palace if you like.
Oh, I'd love to go to a picture palace. I've never been.
Oh, good.
Daisy! What are you up to? You shouldn't be in here.
She wasn't doing any harm, Rose.
No, I'll just come and look for him, Rose.
Yes, well, now you've found him, you can come on out. I've got work for you to do.
See what I mean? You can't even have a simple talk.
It was a nice talk, Edward.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going out to get drunk.
Daisy?
Don't tell anyone, will you?
No, of course not. Yeah, you get drunk, you deserve it. Only don't go and join the army. Who gets these sides to middle ones?
Who do you think? Us.
Where's Edward?
I don't know, Mr. Hudson. I'll go, shall I?
I'll go.
No, I haven't taught you yet.
Have you seen Edward, Daisy?
No, Mr. Hudson. He's not in his room, if that's where he was going. At least I don't think he is.
Do you know where he is? Come on, speak up, my girl. Don't hide things from me.
I don't know, sir. I saw him earlier. He was talking about joining the army.
The army?
I don't know where he is.
Ruby, do you know where Edward is?
Yes, Mr. Hudson, he's gone down to Crown and Anchor. Well, that's what you said, Daisy, wasn't it?
Sir Geoffrey Dillon.
Geoffrey? I do apologise for arriving without warning, Richard, but I must speak with you on a matter of some urgency.
Can I get you anything?
Nothing, thank you. I've just heard some rather disturbing information brought to me, which I've passed on to my client, Colonel Tewkesbury. I'm here, I might add, of my own volition.
Yes, well, what is this information?
It appears that Gilmore's valet was seen handing over a package to your footman, Edward, in the Crown and Anchor public house. When Tewkesbury was informed of this, he deduced, no doubt correctly, that the package contained money. A blatant attempt by Gilmore to buy young Edward's silence. Am I going too fast for you?
Go on.
Tewkesbury is inferring from all this that you must have known about it. That you're in collusion with Gilmore in a shabby and ill-advised attempt to interfere with the course of justice and save Gilmore's career. In short, that you're joined in a rather unpleasant conspiracy.
And he's spreading rumours to this effect?
No, not exactly that.
Well, why should he stop at you? I mean, you didn't believe it, of course.
Isn't some of it true?
It's true that Charles attempted to buy off Edward.
Doubtful ethics for a future Prime Minister?
Doubtful ethics to spy on innocent young footmen in public houses?
Innocent?
Why should Charles be bullied into submission by a vengeance-seeking old cuckold? That's what this is all about. I don't condone what he did, but by God, I understand his reasons.
All right, Richard, keep calm. The point is that it's common knowledge that Edward accepted a bribe. He was seen to do so.
It was thrust into his hands. He brought it straight back to Hudson, who gave it to me. Now, we'll settle this right away.
No, there's no need.
Yes, there is. There is every need. Since this moment, rumours are flying to all parts of London. And on that issue, I want to see Tewkesbury again tomorrow.
And tomorrow's Saturday.
Exactly. That's why I want it scotched before the weekend social arrangements.
Very well, I'll do my best. Do you wish me to be present?
That is entirely up to you. Rose, where is Hudson? I want to see him.
He's gone out to look for Edward, sir.
What'd you do with your windfall, Eddie? Buy a motorcycle?
I'll give it to Mr. Hudson.
What'd you do that for? It'll have gone into his pocket.
No, it hasn't. It's gone to the lifeboatman.
Down we all go, glug, glug,
Now,
glug.
back that up. Mr. Bellamy's wife, Lady Marjorie, she was on the Titanic.
Oh, very touchy tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, well. I'm off. Oh. Oh. Sorry, Tom.
Edward!
Oh, I don't want to talk to you.
I want to talk to you. Have you ever been in a court of law?
No. What is
They
this?
make you swear to tell the truth on the Bible, see? And if you don't tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, even though it's against your master's interests...
Let go of me.
Have you ever heard of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice? Perjury, contempt of court. Do you know what that means? That means prison. A long time in prison.
Ah, good evening, Mr. Hudson. Haven't seen you here for a while.
Forgive me if I don't stop to talk, Mr. Thompson.
Every Footman I know of still employed has been in prison. That's why, when you go in that witness
Take
box...
your hands off that boy!
And who may you be?
I am Angus Hudson.
This is the man, Mr. Hudson. This is the man that started all the questions and gave me half a sovereign, and now he's threatening me.
All right, Edward, all right. Now, look here, my man. I am Mr. Bellamy's butler. And I suggest that you stop molesting and threatening young servants in public houses unless you want the police after you.
I'll see you in court, my lad.
All right, Edward, get going.
Oh, what's this? The late Lady Marjorie's butler mixed up in a pub brawl? What are we coming to?
That is none of your business, Mr. Trumper. Keep moving, Edward.
Now, I've got 2 footmen under me, and I never allow either of them to come gossiping in here. Right.
Good evening, Rose.
Prudence?
Ah, Richard. Oh, Geoffrey. We always seem to be meeting here these days.
Lady Prudence?
Richard, I'm sorry to rush in like this, but I really must talk to you.
I'm just going.
Just a moment, Geoffrey. Is it about Harry and Natalie?
Yes, partly.
Then I think you better stay. Hear the latest on how your client is treating his wife, since we're all in the mood for gossip.
Well...
No, this is important. Natalie is staying with Prudence at the moment, telling her disturbing stories of Harry striking her in anger. Now then, Prudence.
Well, you know, these stories can sometimes be a trifle exaggerated. I mean, I don't think there was much actual brutality.
But the bruise on the arm.
Yes. No, I've really come about some quite different disturbing stories about our glamorous lover figure.
Lord Charles?
Yes. Oh, might I have a drink, Richard, do you think?
Yes, of course. Geoffrey?
No, thank
Now, Natalie had arranged to meet Charles today, a discreet little restaurant in Curzon Street for luncheon. Well, he didn't arrive, and in some consternation, she went round to his flat. Her call wasn't answered, though she was quite sure he was there. Thank you, Richard. Well, you can imagine her humiliation just standing there on the pavement. I mean, the fear of being seen.
Go on, Prue.
Well, she came home to me. At 5 o'clock, that vulgar valet of his delivered a note, a very cool note, and not very well written by someone of whom the country has such high hopes. Well, Natalie flew into a terrible rage, and what happens now, I don't know. One thing is quite clear. Our dear Lord Charles emerges with no credit at all.
Do you still think you're backing the right horse, Richard? Come and sit down, Richard.
Thank you for agreeing to meet me at Tewkesbury.
I can't give you long. I have other appointments.
Long enough to clear up a few misunderstandings, I hope. First of all, you owe me an apology, don't you?
Is that so?
I appreciate you've been under a considerable strain recently, but that can hardly excuse the unpleasant rumors you've evidently been spreading about me and my supposed collusion with Lord Charles Gilmore.
Unpleasant rumors, rubbish.
Geoffrey? Very well. I just want you to hear, in front of our mutual solicitor, that if I do not receive a retraction, I shall take out an action for slander against you.
If your source for these rumours is Dillon here, you'll have to take an action against him, too. It's as much a slander to pass on gossip as to initiate it, and that's the law.
Gentlemen, please, I don't think we need come to blows. Do sit down, Colonel.
Well, one thing I don't do is employ servants who blab their mouths off in public houses for all the world to hear.
And I don't employ spies to hang around public houses and threaten servants.
It is sometimes necessary to employ such means in order to arrive at the truth.
Not when they threaten the integrity of my footman, Geoffrey.
My God, we didn't pay your man to suppress evidence. That was your doing, to protect your protege.
That's false assumption and a downright slander.
I think that is where the misunderstanding arises.
Yes, all right, Geoffrey. Now, if you still persist in believing it, try and make it stick in law. I've explained to Geoffrey, and I hope you'll listen to his advice. I had no part in Charles Gilmore's attempt to silence my footman. I would never have supported such an idea.
Oh, easy to disown the man now that he's discredited.
That is a cheap and contemptible remark. My God, Tewkesbury, you do bring your troubles on your own head, don't you?
And what the devil does that mean?
Please, don't make this personal.
Tell that to your client. It's a little late to believe he's anything else.
It's very hard to understand you, Bellamy. You take the side of a rake who seduces young married women. You champion him in the name of vigorous, progressive Toryism. My God, if the country ever fell into his hands, I'd emigrate.
I am in no position to comment on that. I've no wish to. That is not our argument.
Gentlemen, I really must put in a word. I don't think Richard has quite grasped the fact that the divorce will not now take place.
Will not now take place?
Well, I've taken her back, Bellamy. But you must know, I never wanted to lose her in the first place. Well, we've had our differences before and got over them. I couldn't stomach this one. Fella comes up, takes a house 20 miles from where I live, makes love to my wife blatantly, makes me the laughing stock of the district. And to cap it all, he has the effrontery to set himself up on the quiet as my political rival. Not only my wife, but my constituency, my entire being. Oh, you talk about rumours. My God, you should have heard what I've had to put up with. Well, I couldn't stand for it. I had to take some action. Either my wife behaves herself or she ceases to be my wife. Simple as that. I put it to her in those terms. She chose to leave. Well, the rest you probably know. When it gets too hot, the fellow shows his true colours. Drops her. Could have told her that. Seen that type before. No guts. No staying power. You'd never make a politician. And then, last night, she comes quietly back. No fuss. People have the wrong idea, you see. They assume... Well, let them assume what they damn well like. Look, I must be going. I'm taking her home on the 5 o'clock train.
Oh, I'm glad she's gone back to him. That's what she needs, really. That great draughty house will help to cool her down.
Pity she didn't cool down a bit sooner.
I had to break it off. And the quick, clean blow is always the best, isn't it?
Well, then, it was your timing that was unfortunate.
Now, that is a note of censure.
It can hardly be anything else, can it? You haven't played your cards altogether wisely.
But you see, I'm not like you, Richard. You've always played your cards wisely, and look where it's got you. You're a disappointed man at heart, looking to live through other people. Maybe that I will be judged as an arrogant whippersnapper who lived dangerously and perished ignobly, but I will always be my own master. Never for me the epitaph, he played his cards wisely.
What will you do now?
I don't know, it's early to say. I might go to Canada. It's full of black sheep making good. I promise you one thing. You won't have heard the last of me. I must go now. I'm lunching at the Ritz with a fascinating Romanian princess.
feeling now?
Oh, still terrible. Oh, I had a skinful last night.
Never does you much good, does it? You couldn't eat your dinner.
No, I've got the afternoon off. I think I'll go to bed.
I've got the afternoon off too. I thought you and I were supposed to be going.
Edward, I want a word with you. Come in here a minute.
I've said I'm sorry, Mr. Hudson, and I think I'm going to join the army.
Oh, there's no need for that, Edward. Provided you've learned your lesson. Sit down, my boy, sit down.
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
I confess to a certain degree of blame for not giving you a clear moral lead when you asked for it. Over the matter of the money, my boy. You were quite right to want to give it back, and I'm sorry I didn't make myself clear to you. I'll try to now, so listen very carefully. You see, Lord Charles Gilmore is one of our most brilliant politicians. Some say he might even be Prime Minister. Now, if a man can achieve great things in his public life for the good of us all, for the good of his country, then who are we to judge his private life? It's absolutely no concern of ours. Is it?
No, Mr. Hudson?
And when the two, the public and the private, get tangled up, then it's only reasonable that he should take steps, albeit unorthodox ones, to... Do you see what I'm getting at? So all this talk about joining the army, Edward, is just so much nonsense. And you'll put it right out of your head, won't you?
Yes, Mr. Hudson, if you say so.
And keep out of public houses, hmm?
Yes, Mr. Hudson.
Right. Off you go then, Edward.
All right?
Yes, I think so, Daisy.
You haven't forgotten, have you?
What?
Picture Palace. Or are you really going to bed?
Oh, no. No, I feel a lot better now.
Get your coat then.
Right. Here, Rose. I'm a bit short.
I'm not surprised after last night.
Don't you start. You couldn't lend me a shilling, could you? I'll pay you back.
Oh, all right. There you are. Make it last.
I will.
All ready?
Well, where are you two off to?
He's taking me to the Picture Palace.
Mind you behave yourself.
Go on, baby.